General, and before that, an elected district attorney. And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor. So I took on, in these roles, perpetrators of all kinds.
Kamala is working full-time to erase her record of open borders, transgender anything, high energy costs, taxes, interest rates, which are at sky levels, rising crime rates, and wars all over the world.
That was Trump and Harris at their respective rallies last night, talking about Kamala's record on crime and other things. For more on this, let's bring in criminal defense attorney Brian Claypool and former Los Angeles County DA Steve Cooley. Cooley ran against Kamala for California's AG in 2010. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. So there's the dueling claims. We want to get to the facts on this show. Let me show you, as the San Francisco prosecutor and then attorney general, what we have learned. Now, felony conviction rates rose 19%, from 52% to 71% during Harris's tenure as a San Francisco prosecutor. Gun crime convictions rose to 92% in the first 5 years of Harris's tenure as prosecutor. And one more, when she was the AG, violent crime rates dropped 10%. But yet, once she got to Washington and has now been in the higher office seeking mode, she's made comments like these. Listen here.
To believe that by putting more police on the street, you're going to have more safety. And that's just wrong. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented and cross the border as criminals.
Steve, I want to start with you. You ran against Harris. What does her record say, and what should we know?
From what I've heard from people who actually worked with her, she was nothing special when she was with the Alameda County DA's office as a deputy DA. If she did anything significant, she'd be telling us the cases. She also, when she went to San Francisco, her main goal there was to take over that office and become the DA and knock off Terrence Hallinan. And also no cases of any note or distinction when she was there. As the district attorney of San Francisco, she did great harm. She was a great advocate for sanctuary cities, and she was known to elude the federal authorities and make sure that individuals who should be deported, illegal aliens committing crimes, were moved out of San Francisco and concealed in other counties. Namely, Riverside County was a recipient of many of those transferred minors who are also dope dealers. So she's got nothing to brag about. And you mentioned crime rate went down when she was attorney general. That wasn't because of her. Those were district attorneys all over the state of California doing their job under the law and following the law. She has not been known to be all that much of a follower of the law. She does not follow the death penalty, did not in the execution murder of a police officer. So don't give her credit when she's AG for any drop in the crime rate. That was prosecutors like myself and others throughout California doing their job along with law enforcement.
So, Brian, it's fascinating. Clearly, there are stats, as we cited them, that Harris is now running on and trying to cling to. But as we heard right there from Steve, he's saying that it's not what the number says on paper. It's the reality of what happened in the state of California. And yet now she's even putting out campaign ads touting her record. Here's a sample of just how she's running on it. Watch this.
As a prosecutor, she protected us from violent criminals.
As Attorney General,
she beat the banks that kicked families out of their homes.
Brian, do you think that's going to work?
Hey, Griff, great to be with you. Welcome here to Kamala country in Los Angeles, where I went to a Target store the other day and you couldn't even get a thing of shaving cream because everything's locked up because people come in there and just steal regularly at Target. Welcome to empty restaurants and empty stores throughout the state of California. Welcome to hospitals in California. I went to the emergency room 2 weeks ago on a Saturday, and it was like a third world country, Griff. I worked hard to pay for health care, and I sat there for 7 hours because homeless people were replete within the emergency room. There had to be armed guards outside a prominent hospital in Pasadena. The fact of the matter is, in 2014, Kamala Harris helped write Proposition 47 in the state of California. And in my opinion, what she wrote that the voters voted in was misleading and deceitful because it reclassified nonviolent felonies and allowed these felons to become misdemeanor convicts. And what's that mean? That means they went out back on the street, and that's why we have all this violent homelessness throughout California. What other point I want to make on that, Griff? If you look at the fine language in Proposition 47 in 2014, it says that it would take years for the California justice system to make any money off Prop 47. Yet when people voted on it, she said that it would save the state of California hundreds of millions of dollars. So do you want deceit as a president, or do you want somebody that's going to make change in this state and change this from the golden state back to the golden state instead of what we're living now, which is like the twilight state?
Steve, let me ask you, kind of picking up on Brian's point there, with regards to Prop 47, but a little bit larger, Harris finds herself in an odd position because the left attacks her because she's Kamala the cop. The right attacks her, accusing her of being soft on crime. And then you've got the trail she's left behind, like Prop 47. What do you see? Where does the pendulum swing for her?
Well, Prop 47. If you had to pick one person who was behind Prop 47, it would be Kamala Harris's misleading title for that ballot proposition. She called it the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. It was not either one. It reduced significant penal codes involving theft to misdemeanors or wiped them out entirely. Also, it reduced all the hard drugs from felonies to misdemeanors. And you want to think about a cause for homelessness in California? Prop 47 is a big cause. And you want to ask who's responsible? George Soros, Kamala Harris, and George Gascon. Those individuals are responsible for Prop 47.
Well, we'll be pulling back the onion and examining the records of all the candidates and their backgrounds, and particularly today on the issue of crime. And as Harris runs as the former prosecutor, whether or not that will work. Brian Claypool, Steve Cooley, thank you for your time and great insight today.